Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all awake. Can I hear it from the back of the room? Super. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me start by a saying of Thomas Edison. He said, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will train his patients in the care for his body, diet, and prevention of disease." Edison's words have come true today. Time for integrated and functional medicine has already arrived. It's not something for the future, but it is knocking on our doors presently. First, let us understand what is functional medicine. Like homeopathy, functional medicine goes to the root of the problem. It believes in treating the cause rather than superficial symptoms. From a single cause can erupt multiple disorders, and a single disease can have many causes. So it's both ways. Let me show you this diagram which explains this. For example, you have a disease here called depression, and you have so many causes of depression. You can have a low thyroid level, you can have vitamin D deficiency, you can be pre-diabetic, you can have antibiotic use, omega-3 deficiency, which may cause depression. Similarly, this is a disease which has multiple reasons. Similarly, you have one cause which can give rise to multiple disorders. So you have inflammation, or you have autoimmunity, for example, and you then get depression, you get heart disease, you get arthritis, you get cancer, you get diabetes. So this shows you how from one disease can have many causes, and from one cause there can be many disorders, which is what is the fundamental of functional medicine. So let me go back a little bit in time. Before personalized medicines were actually found, and personalized medicine is very much like homeopathy. It's bespoke medicine. It's a medicine which suits just you. There are 98,000 permutations and combinations for one person, for one disorder in homeopathy, and you've got to get the right medicine for that person. So it's bespoke medicine, it's personalized medicine. And this was founded more than 250 years ago. Now you can imagine today the world is talking about personalized medicine all over again. But before this was found, it was found that 75% of cancer medicines, that 38% of antidepressants, 40% of bronchodilators, which is used for asthma, 43% oral anti-diabetic medicines, NSAIDs, which are non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs for arthritis, 50% of them. And for Alzheimer's, 70%. This was a Spear report that was researched, and they said that all these drugs were ineffective. And versus this, when you had personalized medicine, it showed clinical research for these diseases as being useful. And this really shows that in 2019, 25% of all new drugs that were approved by the FDA were personalized medicines. So I'm just trying to show you the trend where the world is moving. And clearly the time for personalized medicine is already here. It is now. It's already arrived. And the market size in 2022 was $539 billion US. So you can see the awareness, you can see the kind of demand that personalized medicine has created just last year as well. We've been in an era of medical specialization, but I dare say that we've now come a full circle. From GPs, which was many years ago, we had the doctor who was a family physician. He was also an advisor. He was also a matchmaker to the family. He was all of that until we started having super specialists. We started having doctors who specialized in smaller parts of the body and having extensive knowledge of how to treat that, but sometimes in isolation with the rest of the body. And we are now coming back, therefore, to generalists who understand and treat the human body as a whole. So we've now come a full circle. From GPs, we've now moved back into generalists. It is jokingly said that a specialist is a person who knows more and more about less and less till he knows everything about nothing. Let me go back to Prince Charles III. During his princely days, he spoke admirably of the benefits of holistic medicine at the annual celebrations of the British Medical Association. Doctors today have a better understanding of the human body and its parts being interconnected with each other. Two common examples that I like to give are one of the mind and the other is of the stomach. We all know now that there's a gut-brain connection between the gut and the brain, and between the brain and the gut, vice versa as well. Let me share some examples with you. It has rightly been said that the stomach is the sounding board of human emotions. And this is actually spread also into the English languages. Haven't we heard of, I have a gut feeling? I have butterflies in my stomach. Do they actually fly away when your mind calms down? So it's now entered into a figure of speech as well. So it's established that stress can affect your stomach, and the reverse is also true. You know, the mental anxiety manifests as palpitations in the heart, in the stomach as irritable bowel syndromes, in the bladder as irritable bladder syndrome. And we all know that the bathrooms are full before an interview or an exam, and sometimes even before a flight. When a gut is not healthy, it affects other parts of the body, including our mind. So again, we come back to the mind affecting the gut and the gut affecting the mind. Food is medicine. What we eat and absorb is what keeps us fit and well. Research has shown that a food additive, propionate, reduces the food intake by reducing activity in the brain. So you actually start eating less when you add a food additive to everything that you eat, because it signals to the brain that I'm full now, I don't need to eat more. Also, let's realize that the gut also has healthy bacteria. So everything in the stomach is not unhealthy, and sometimes when we take too much of antibiotics without medical advice, we are not only killing the bacteria, but we're also killing natural bacteria which are actually good for the gut and which is good for our health. So we should be very careful about what we are doing. And we also know that, for example, probiotics actually show an improvement in stress, anxiety, and depression. One of my predecessors just spoke about NCDs, or non-communicable disorders. They actually account for more than 4 million deaths every year now. And almost 60% of all deaths today are because of NCDs. So these are obviously lifestyle disorders. And these are things which can be controlled and treated better with functional medicine rather than with conventional medicine. Healthcare in India today has many challenges, and I'll only mention just 2 of them for paucity of time. Number 1, of course, is insufficient funds. We already mentioned earlier, one of the earlier speakers had mentioned, the percentage of GDP that is spent in India on healthcare is among the lowest. Now you can imagine this, that for a population of 1.4 billion people, we are spending only 23.76 rupees per person per year on healthcare. So clearly this is very inadequate, and which is why that a cheaper, more effective, or equally effective system of medicine, like functional medicine, homeopathy, holistic medicine, can actually fill this gap. You can have a look at this as the percentage of GDP. China is right up there, and I've already taken our neighbors as a comparison, not compared the European Union or America, which are much ahead. India is only 2% of GDP, and all our neighbors are more than double. So India clearly is not spending enough money on healthcare. And therefore we need a cheaper, effective system of medicine to supplement the weakness in our healthcare system. The second point that I want to make is that the workforce is not sufficient. Clearly you have seen that the doctor-patient ratio is among the lowest in the developed world. India, one doctor sees at least 1,446 patients and 56 patients. And according to World Health Organization, the ratio should be 1 doctor for 1,000 patients. So we are 1.5 times stretched in terms of our doctors, and it's exactly the same in terms of our nurses and paramedical care, perhaps even worse. There are 6 lakh Ayush doctors, which is Ayurvedic, Unani, Yogic, and homeopathy doctors, and Siddha doctors. And there are 2 lakh homeopathic doctors practicing. I honestly believe that these doctors can actually fill in the gap of healthcare that is today missing in our country. And if these are well used, because they've all studied basic subjects of 5.5 years, medicine, anatomy, physiology, gynec, medicine, everything else, and have hospital training as well, they can actually help, particularly in the NCDs. And if we do this, we will be able to add 40% more into our workforce. And that can make a very, very strong and appreciable difference in the way healthcare is delivered in our country. I've already spoken about this. So really the vision of a Bimari Mukt Bharat can be achieved through functional medicine doctors. So just finally, I'd just like to end, because this is just a precursor to the next discussion that you're going to have. And I just wanted to kind of just throw this open. So finally, I'm saying just as medicine has evolved, so has disease. New diseases are regularly engulfing the world. When I passed out medicine in 1973, we never had anything like AIDS or even COVID or chikungunya or any of those. There was a special science, a branch of medicine that was called tropical medicines. And there were special doctors who learned tropical medicine and treated in the West, because they did not know malaria, they did not know jaundice. I mean, today because of globalization, it's all very common. All the barriers are broken. And therefore, now new diseases have evolved. Swine flu, AIDS, chikungunya, and of course COVID recently. We've experienced that all over the world. And therefore, I dare say that no single system of medicine is complete by itself. And every system of medicine has its limitations. And therefore, I strongly believe that disease kills in practice, and it's the attempt of every system of medicine to not just relieve sickness, but to improve the quality of human life. And therefore, integrated medicine, therefore, is the need of the hour. I close with this: whether it's allopathy, homeopathy, or Tirupati, whatever helps the patient must be tried. Thank you.